Hello and welcome to the Outcast. I'm your host HC, and with me is.
Wolf.
And today, can you pick a guess who chose this? Can
It's
you? Do you have a
tradition.
theory? Do you
After
have a theory?
Zootopia,
Which one?
we cover things like this.
Do
Why?
you have an
I don't know.
idea? If you know us, if you've been listening to this, or if you know us personally, do you have an idea who picked this one?
Well, you.
Spoiler, it's obviously not
No.
me.
You like Sonic. You're obviously the furry here.
Okay, you know something? You know something? You slept on your own on my banana peel, asshole. I was about to say, why didn't you tell me that the people who grew up liking Sonic 06's story made an anime? But no, you referenced Sonic before me.
hmm
Ha! I win. So, in case
Listen,
you
I,
missed the
I
title
love that this is just an absolutely dumb tradition now. Next
what?
Zootopia movie, gonna have to find something else.
Oh boy. So what's gonna be with Zootopia 3
I
if it
have no clue,
happens?
but we're gonna find out.
Well, anyway. So this is with you, our love will make it true, and I'm glad that I'm making true reading this title because it's so freaking long. But
If you think this is long, man.
yeah, no, I know that anime titles are like
Anime title,
ginormous,
anime
but
titles be wildin'.
yeah. No, Japanese titles in general. Like, if for reference, if you remember that we covered a game I really like, Clonoa.
Mhm.
In English, Clonoa 2, Leon Tennisville. In Japanese, Clonoa of the Wind 2, the thing that the world wants to forget. Mwah, beautiful.
Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah. So anyway, what is it again? With you, our love will make it true. So, Wolf.
Mhm,
I have a question.
mhm.
I have a few questions, but let's start with the first one.
I should say.
Why?
So, number 1, I did not get to do a recap like I wanted, so it's been a few months for me because I watched this when it first started airing, which was around October of last year. Number 2, why? Honestly, it's not a half bad like romantic story, to be honest, in my opinion. Like
That's the weird thing, you know what? Kind of jumping into it as I don't know if you read the manga. I didn't.
I have not.
I don't even
I
need
just watched the
context
show.
for
I
this.
just saw this and I was like, another furry one. And then like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna dive into this. What is this one? Is it good? Is it bad? And it's actually not half bad.
Uh huh.
I walked
So
into this
kind of
one
jumping
expecting
into
it
this.
to not be
I
good, and it's actually pretty good.
For the record, I may joke, I may make fun of Wolf for being the one
hmm
to get me into this. I may joke about the concept. I may have compared this to Sonic 06, which I know you can never take this back from it, but
Oof.
I did kind of enjoy this. Like, this
Yeah,
was a legit sweet anime
yeah,
to some
it actually
degree.
is.
Like, what the fuck is going on?
It's actually a genuinely really lovely little romance story, high school romance story. Genuinely, it's
Yeah.
actually really good.
Mhm. I told one of my friends before we started this. It's going to be immortalized on the internet now that I have used the term furry anime,
hmm
and yeah, it's on the internet now. I said these words.
Well, we need to ask a question to the furries out there, however many of them watch us. Is it cowardice that she's a human and he's full wolf, or is that perfectly allowed? Should they both be furries for it to be furry romance, or is this cowardice? You tell us, furries.
On the one hand, I want to know the answer, but on the other hand, I'm like, do I? Okay,
Inquiring minds would
so
like to know.
yeah. So Wolf, as the one who
hmm
suggested this, how did this come about? What was your reaction when you heard about the saw this poster? Because I have to admit I did some digging. This is not something that caught on from what I saw. Like there
No,
aren't too many people that talk about it in the general, like on YouTube, for example.
no.
I don't see too many reviews of this.
To be honest, again, just oh, when this started airing in last October, so like that kind of late fall season. I was like, interesting. Just happened to notice it on Crunchyroll, to be honest, and it's like, you know what? Fuck it. Like I said, I'm just gonna give this a shot because I've already
Mhm.
watched Beastars. Might as well watch the alternative to Beastars? Question mark.
This is like if Beastars and BoJack Horseman had a baby. I don't know,
Eh,
because the the character designs for like the Beast people kind of reminds me of BoJack Horseman
mm,
just a bit.
fair. I would say I would say this is definitely more upbeat and happy compared
Oh,
to
definitely.
Beastars. Beastars gets
No,
way more into the nitty gritty and
yeah, no. This is like comparing Beastars to this. It's kind of like comparing Rent to High School Musical.
yeah,
If you
yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say Beastars is a lot more focused on its world building than the romance aspect, right? This
Mhm.
is, I would say,
But not
far
only
more.
that, but not only that, I think it's also because this is high school and B Stars they're like in college, if I remember. So
Or
B
it's,
Stars
I
is
think
also
it's
able
still
to.
high school, but it's like
It
late
I
high
remember that
school.
I remember getting more college vibes out of
Mm,
it, like because they live on campus and also the entire idea that they're talking about what they're going to do after school and everything. It's I think in general I think the setting for Beastars was also just more adult in general.
yeah, definitely
And
young
this is
adult. I would say, like early 20s vibes at the
Yeah, but you get
latest.
what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
This one is like these are teenagers. These are like teenager issue. There's like this little high school naivete there that kind of plays into this, and
Hmm.
which, for the record, nothing wrong with that
No,
at all. Again, it's kind of nice to see something set in high school that's not overly cynical about high school. It's just
okay,
legit, kind of sweet. If you take away the, you know.
fair. It's interesting that you say that though, because God, if you watch enough romance anime, so many of these things are set in fucking high school, right?
Yeah.
So many of them, to the point that genuinely a lot of people are just like, fucking get out of high school with the romance. Please do anything else. And when you have a romance story that comes along that's not set in high school, people will clamor for that shit because it's just
Mhm.
something that's different, right?
Well, to be honest, romance in high school isn't necessarily just an anime trope. It's kind of like,
True.
in general, it's all
But
over the place. But yeah, I
I
get
would
you.
I would argue in the West, like you have a good, representation of, oh, here's your like young teen, high school romance, and then here's your more adult romance, right? With your rom-coms and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I think it's also like, this is that point, just in general in real life, where 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 people are starting to feel those things. This is like when you're going through
Mhm.
first crushes and everything. So it makes sense, but I get what you're saying, that at some point you're just like, can we have a romance that's not in high school at some point?
Oh, that's fair. I have been seeing, to get a little off topic, like anime has started to do more romances that are outside of a school setting, that it's more adult oriented, which has been interesting and fun and enjoyable.
Well, and
We're
knowing
doing
you,
this one.
one of those shows is in our future at some
Maybe.
point. Hopefully with less animals. But I don't judge. I don't kink shame.
No, we're doing this one. And
Yeah.
I would say, right, for romance and anime, I think you definitely have to set yourself apart somewhat nowadays, right? Because it can be very tropey. Like I think even in Western shows, right, it can still be very tropey for romance because I mean, it's hard to avoid that. And the unique idea this one took on was that since we haven't explained it, although you can probably tell from the thumbnail image,
I think the thumbnail speaks for itself, but
we
do
have humans
explain, good
and beast
sir.
folk living together in the same world.
So this is actually something, you know what? Should we just put the spoiler tag on for just in case?
Yeah, if you've not seen it, go watch it. It's actually pretty good and fun.
If you haven't seen it, then I weirdly enough recommend it, and not just for the laws of the random ass idea. It's it's an actually kind of sweet romance story, but just make sure that you can handle the weirdness, because I think I would probably have quitted like halfway through if it wasn't for the podcast. But anyway, this is, if you haven't seen the show, this is your chance to pause the video, go watch it, and then come back, because we're about to talk about spoilers. So spoilers in three, two, one. Still here? Okay, so they fucking the first episode.
I, mm, I guess, kind of.
I mean, even if not, it's pretty freaking. It's pretty out there,
The show
and by
doesn't
out there
shy
I mean
away
in
from
hell. But
showing.
that's okay. That was a bad joke, but
The show doesn't
it's
shy away from the
there. You
fact
can
that
really like what the
that
hell?
these are horny high school students, right? Like the show does not
Yeah,
shy away from that fact.
yeah. So before we get to that, though, I can't
There's
believe I
nothing
just said
explicit.
that.
Should
But
be clear. This is this
yeah,
you
there's
can
nothing.
watch this. It's definitely
It's
like
PG
a
13.
fine
Let's go
line.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with that. It's PG 13. I think that's the best we can say on the matter now. But before we get to that, I do want to say I kind of want to commend the show for one thing, even though again I may question the idea of the beast people. That's how they call them, right?
hmm
I will say interesting way to do commentary about racism to a
Yeah.
degree.
Oh, the only that's probably the only knock I would give against the show is that it doesn't focus as much on that. And
Yeah,
honestly, I think, like you said, it's actually kind of interesting. Maybe the manga focuses on it more, or the light novel, whichever. Maybe if you read that, it focuses on it a lot more. Maybe the show will do more of focusing on that later on. But as it stands right now, it's not a huge focus of the show. It's more focused on the romance between these two and the kind of forbidden romance, I guess you would say, since
yeah.
it's
Because there is because they do tackle they uh, they do tackle the interesting stuff about this kind of romance, right? About these two people, not necessarily Romeo and Juliet, but like they shouldn't be together, and yet they are. And what does it mean in terms of what they think about it, and what the public image of them together it seems to give people, and how does her side accept it, how does his side accept it, what kind of lengths does she have to go to in order to see him.
Mhm.
That's interesting. And again, it's not it is kind of in your face about what they're trying to do with it. Like the metaphor isn't subtle, but it's also not too much up out there. Like it's walking a fine line to some degree,
Mhm.
which
Agreed.
is interesting. But the one thing that kind of cracked me up though, and I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but the wolf guy Tsunagu, that's his
Yes.
name, right?
Yes.
Tsunagu. So they established that he's the first that his parents were the first, human and beast person who got together and had a baby, and they had him. So it's like, okay, interesting that he's taking on it, but then doesn't what's the girl's name again? Asaka,
Yes.
I think.
Osaka. Yeah. Or Mari,
Asaka.
whichever.
Mhm. And then he begins this relationship with the sucker, and it's like, hey, I think I kind of attracted to you because you remind me of my mom. I know that's not the intention, but come on, what a similar design. Come on.
I mean, would you see them all later? Yeah, they are fairly similar.
That's what I'm saying. Like at first, it's like okay, because my mom is a human, so that's already kind of thing. But then the mother is talking to us, and it's like no, no, that's. I think there's a bit of an Oedipus complex in here as well. The furry Oedipus anime. Let's go. This is the this is the thing we need to trademark in this podcast now. I said it on mic. It's on there. Okay.
Mm-hmm,
What is my
mm-hmm,
life?
mm-hmm.
I'm having an existential crisis in this
You're
episode. What the
welcome. You're
hell?
welcome. This is what I provide.
No, it's you're welcome. Anyway, so this is kind of something that I found interesting. What about you?
No, I do wonder if that's a problem with like style choice, right? In terms of sometimes anime is, or especially newer anime shows have had this issue from time to time where it can be hard to differentiate people at times in terms of like style choicing, especially for certain companies and animators. So
Mhm.
I do wonder if that might be the issue there. But you are right; they do look very similar, like to an uncanny degree at times
Like
when we
same
finally
hair
see
color, same
Sunagu's mother.
facial. It's it's out there.
So I
That's
do
all I'll
wonder if
say.
that's just like unfortunate style, right? Like an unfortunate problem of their just style and how they animate and how they draw people within this show. If
Mhm.
it's not, I wonder if that's something they're going to touch on.
Yeah, because apparently the manga is still going, according to the
Yes,
Wikipedia article.
it is still ongoing. Yes,
So I'm not sure if there's a season two announcement, but might not be the last of this. So interesting.
but speaking to the show proper, right? Honestly, it's genuinely like as you stated, right? A fun romance story, like just seeing as you talked about, right? How she has to figure out how to see him, but not like because the big crux of this romance is that apparently the beast folk can be a little rough
Mhm.
in oh what would be the word to use here?
Animalistic?
No, no, they can be rough in their affection.
Yeah, like for the record, and this is the show's words, right?
Yeah,
Her pheromones turn him on,
yeah.
and his tail wiggling is a metaphor for something else.
Mhm.
And whenever he can't hold it anymore, he is legit growling
Mhm.
and starts licking her.
Mhm.
And I am aware that depending on who you are and what turns your partner on, I am not judging in the slightest. But some of those things are things that people do in these with these body parts,
Yeah.
right? And the fact that it's represented by an animal doing this to a human is something that if you are willing to look past that, or if for some reason you find the idea endearing, you are probably going to do okay with this show. But if this is something that creeps you out and you close the damn thing before when you know this is where it's going, this can be a turnoff. And I've
Yes.
heard that people review bombed this because of the content. Now, all I'll say is that if you are disgusted by this, I can understand. This
If you're
is not for
disgusted by
everyone.
this, I mean, there's far worse out there than this.
I know that there's far worse, but I'm going to say if this makes you uncomfortable, I get it,
No,
but
fair,
don't
fair.
ruin other people's fun. I may take the piss out of this show, but I admit it's kind of a cute romance, even though this is not my thing.
Yeah.
I am aware how it sounds, but life is freaking weird. What do you want me to say? So Wolf,
Hmm.
what was your take on these scenes?
I mean, it's definitely something that's like, okay, this is vastly weird and not at all what I expected from this show when I first saw it. This is not at all where I expected this to go, but okay. But I think one, they don't choose to focus on it, right? It's not the focus of the show. The focus of the show is on, okay, how do we become a thing together and that not be problematic for either you or for me? And the show also chooses, like, that's not the only problem that they have in being a couple together, right? And being that kind of
Yeah.
forbidden love. There's just the
Mhm.
fact that he is a beast folk and she's a human, and the beast folk are cordoned off into their own little section of the city that you have to get, like, written approval from basically the government to go and visit. If you want to do that, that's something
To
that we
pass a
see.
wall. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Like
they're
I
literally
said, some
live
of those.
behind a wall.
Yeah. Like I said, some of the metaphors
Attack on
here
Titan
are
style.
kind of in your face.
Yes.
So, so the one thing I do want to say though, yeah, the sexual stuff in this show, and again, it's not that you see anything PG-13 again,
Mhm.
but just for the record, the, it's I would say that it's something that's a factor in this show. This is something that's there, and there's quite a bit of it, but like you said, this is not the only portion. And if anything, I think they handled it relatively well
Yeah.
because, again, you have the first episode where it's like all out, right? It's like this point where they're locked in the sports room together,
Yeah.
and then things happen. But then they actually decide to try this again with having someone on standby to interrupt in case things go too wild. And they are kind of like a real couple. They do try to figure this out, which I like the idea of having the both of them kind of be afraid of it, but also kind of wanting it, but also don't know how far they can go with it. It felt real. There's something very, very realistic about the way that they are trying to pace this relationship. If you ignore the fact that it's a fucking wolf or a dog, what is it supposed to be? I'm
We'll
not
just
sure.
assume we'll assume dog. We'll assume
Let's go
dog.
with dog.
He's just a big old dog.
Which, by
But
the way, I forgot to mention this. One last thing for me for a bit. But you know how in anime sometimes they have these points, and this show does it a lot, where the characters are just suddenly becoming less realistic, that they are just like a shape with like big eyes and something, because it's supposed to amplify the emotion of, oh my god, what? Like
yes.
of shock.
Yeah.
Anime does that a lot, but here, whenever they do it with the I
Sunagu.
forgot his name. What is his name? What is
Sunagu.
his name? What's
Sunagu.
his face?
Sunagu.
Tsunagu, thank you. Tsunagu. So whenever they do it with him, like on the one hand, you see this like sexy dog drawing that he is supposed to be all the time, but then there's these moments where they just like his face disappears. It's just eyes and everything, and he looks like fucking Totoro.
Yeah,
That
it's actually kind of funny though.
it's
It's
funny,
very
but at some
enjoyable.
point I'm like, but it's like it's not even the same species anymore.
It's just funny.
I'm not sure. Is it only me that whenever they draw him like this, it looks like Totoro? Was this supposed to be? Is this
No,
the intent?
I saw it too. You're not wrong. I don't know if it's the intent, but I definitely saw it as well. It's definitely it's very fun.
Okay, so what did you think about the fact that I just talked about with the show, about how they're treating this relationship?
No, it's actually genuinely really good because, like you said, right? It feels natural almost. It feels normal for this world, and it feels like it's just these are two high school students exploring romance for the first time, right? And I think honestly, they do a lot of high school relationship within this story really well because we've not even talked about Yukihiro, the other male MC in this show. That's
Yeah.
kind of a love triangle going on between these three at first. Like there's
That was
definitely
something. Yeah,
it's
you talk about
honestly
this first.
it's honestly a love triangle that I think is done well. Am I actually saying that? Like we actually have a love triangle that's like, no, this is actually kind of good because
To be fair, I would even say love square, but
mm,
go on.
also works, yeah, considering a later character. But no, like it's genuinely enjoyable because Yukihiro comes in and you see, oh, he actually, you know, relates to Sunagu and they get along really well, and he wants to, like, hey, beast folk aren't bad, and I'm gonna help prove that by making everyone in the class like you. And that's kind of like another crux to the story as it moves forward from that point. And then we start to
Mhm.
learn that, oh, Yukihiro also likes Mari or Asaka as well, right? And you kind of see this rivalry form between Sunagu and Yukihiro, right? In terms of like, hey, you know, we will both try to pursue Mari and we'll compete with one another, but we'll respect each other as well. Like, it's
Mhm.
honestly, these kids are too good. Like, they make the
To
rest of
be
us look
fair,
bad.
this is part of the show that personally, like, it's not the worst. I've definitely seen worse love triangles. If you know me, you know that I have a history of loathing this concept.
Hmm.
But here, though, I really felt it wasn't necessary because, for one, the hook of the show is that she's going to end up with the dog person. So having Ikari there isn't really a threat to anything. And two, I appreciate the fact that in here, just because they are trying to get the same girl, they are still friends. They still respect each other. It is kind of nice to see something like this, but
Hmm.
I don't know. Maybe it's the pacing. Maybe it's the fact that, to some degree, Asaka isn't really trying to pursue Hikari in any way. But because obviously she has that for Tsunagu,
Hmm.
but it it feels like he wants her, she doesn't want him. So is it really a love triangle if there isn't really a bit of an attraction between the
No,
two?
but they
It
do
it
kind of
feels like,
address that
because
later on, I
because
feel.
kinda, because on the one hand he's supposed to be like the third wheel, the third wheel that we all wanna be and everything, and on the other hand he's a rival character, but he's a rival character that still really respects Tsunagu, and Tsunagu really respects him. And it is kind of nice to see that just because they have the hearts for the same goal, it doesn't destroy the relationship. But then when you look at the story as a whole, I'm also kind of thinking, then what is really the point of making him like Asuka to begin with?
That's fair. I would say, at least to me, I think the point is just to help it not be a slow burn in a way. Because I would argue this moves quite fast compared to most romance stories, especially for anime. Anime's a big fan of slow burns, and anime has a big problem with the will they, won't they, and it does it a lot. A lot of shows do this, and
Mhm.
it can get very annoying
So
very
you
quick.
see,
I would say this one, by the end of this season, you feel like, okay, they're in a relationship together. They are together
mhm,
now,
yeah,
right?
I agree when it comes to Asaka and Sonogu.
Mhm.
But if Asaka and Hikari were supposed to be a thing, like if they were supposed to sell me on them as even a possibility, then that's a slow burn. And I would even argue it's not even a slow burn, it's just slow because nothing really happens there. Because Hikari and I think it's heavily implied that he ends up with the cat lady from Tsunagu's town.
Yeah, Kisara. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's interesting, right? Because when she comes in, you see a later conversation between the two of them at the very end that, like, they both like, like Kisara likes Sunagu and Yukihiro likes Osaka, but they know that neither of them are going to get the people they're with, so they kind of accept that. And it's like, well, we'll be happy as long as they're happy, which is kind of I don't like that part of it, but you can see like the show's definitely leaning towards potentially the two of them getting together in this, like, oh, we found each other through our mutual friends, basically. And
And for the record, if the manga is past this and something has happened, then we don't know.
I'm sure it has and is. I'm sure it is and has, I should say.
Because I will also say Kisara is kind of a wasted character in my eyes. Like, the show is 12 episodes. she's only showing up in the second half.
I
She
mean, even then,
doesn't get
later than that, really, to be honest.
Mhm. Yeah, like that's the thing. She shows up after the second half of the show, and she doesn't really get much development aside of she's childhood friends of Tsunagu. That's it.
Fair. I'd say we don't see her until like episode 7, basically.
Yeah,
I think you
and
see
again by
her,
that, well, episode 7 isn't she like at the very end? So
yes,
technically,
very end.
episode 8,
So really,
like
episode 8,
she's
yeah. Episode 8 is more
yeah.
of the focus on her. We get like a brief glimpse of her from episode 7, and it's basically she doesn't like Mari because she can tell Mari's in love with Sunagu. And that's a problem because she also likes Sunagu.
And I think there's also a point of it's kind of reverse because it's like uh, he fell for a human and not his childhood best friend. It's like, again,
Mhm.
it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there are some romance cliches that
Oh
you're
yeah,
gonna have to
absolutely.
accept are good, like. But then again, when you go into something like this, you're going to have to accept that these are going to be a thing because this is the genre. What can you do? I'm just saying the show isn't. The show isn't safe from from some of those tropes. So if you
Huh.
have an
But it
issue
does
with
do
these
them
tropes,
well enough, or it never makes them, or in my opinion, at least to me, it never made them such a focal point that it was like, okay, can we move on? Right? It never felt like that to me, at least. I don't know about you, but
no, no, that's something I agree with you on. It's never, you know, it never goes that far,
yeah,
right? Like it never goes far enough for me to say, "Oh my God, this is this cliche and nothing is gonna change." No,
it'll very
it does it in a more
quickly,
respectful way.
yeah.
But I'm just saying though, if this is something that troubles you, if this is something that you're not into, and nothing is ever going to change that, this should if you ignore the wild concept that this is a furry anime essentially,
Mm-hmm.
some of the teenage romance cliches are going to be in here.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely. It does have them, but it will basically, in my opinion, what it will do is, hey, here's a trope you're familiar with. Okay, we're going to quickly move past that by using this as a character moment to develop either Mari or Sunagu more, basically. Now, you could argue that this is problematic in that it will take characters like Yukihiro or Kisara and use them for the main character's development and very kind of quickly move past them in a way, which
Mhm,
does leave your side characters as a little bit more, I don't want to say bland, but less developed, underdeveloped. Now,
mhm.
this could change in a season 2 or later on in the manga or the light novel, but based off of this show in the first season, I would say it'll very quickly use these side characters to develop the main characters and move past them very quickly in whatever trope it has introduced them with, right? Kisara
Mhm.
being, I think, the perfect example of that,
Yeah.
as the jealous, childhood friend who comes in, and then very quickly we move past that and use that as development for Mari and a little bit for
In
Kisara, but mostly for
general,
Mari.
I noticed that the show has this thing where they introduce characters that could be interesting, and then they just don't really do anything interesting with them. Like there's the girl who, in I think it's episode 3 or 4, that loses her notebook, and then like her friend tries to find her and they help her and they found the notebook for her and she's like, I thought because you're a beast person so and so, but her opinion of Tsunagu actually changes when he helps her out. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of sweet. I wonder what they're gonna do. And nothing happens with these characters. They're
Mm,
one-offs.
yeah, they're still
But they
around
keep
later,
bringing
but
back,
yeah,
keep bringing back the freaking bullies.
yes, yeah, and I think this is the show's way of saying, again, of trying to do that, like as you said, talking about racism in a way, and just trying to do a little bit of world building similar to Beastars, but this is where I think the show falls flat. In my opinion, and the story in general falls flat, is that I don't know about you, but I I'm not as interested in this world personally compared to like something say
Yeah.
Beastars, for instance.
Because with Beastar, I think because I thought about this too. With Beastars, there's a bit more of an there's a different economy
Mhm.
than our world, right?
Yes.
In terms of how a group of animals view this group of animals, kind of like in Zootopia, for example, that you
Yeah.
you have the predators, and you have the non-predators. So how does it actually work in this kind of? And here it's just like half the world is the human world we all know. Like again, they
Not even
text
half,
with
majority.
phones. Like the majority of it is a world we know. They use their phones to text each other in group chats. They go to high school. They study. They do sports. They have all these events. They go to restaurants. They go home to their parents and they do homework. It's the world, right? It's a regular world. The only way that the beast people are different is that there are beast people that live in a quarantined part of town.
I mean,
That's
hell,
really it.
the show, and I assume I maybe again maybe the story touches the maybe the manga or light novel touches on this a bit more, but for the show, we get an offhanded one time mention of, oh, basically the beast folk became a thing because the government was doing some experiments, and that's it. And we move past that very quickly, like it's forgotten about. And you're like, wait, what the fuck? What do you mean experiments? Explain, please? No.
Yeah. No, it's just experiments. That's it. People experiment. What? Don't you know?
It's very, it's basically, it's that loose kind of world, excuse me. It's that loose kind of world building that I just want a reason to justify this character existing. Because otherwise, why does this character exist, right? And so you come up with that very loose justification for it, is what it
And not
feels
only
like, at
that,
least as of right now.
and again, not only that, you say that it only explains this one character, but does it explain also his dad? Does it explain the random beast person that we see a guy hanging out with at the very start of the show?
Well, it
Does
explains
it
all of them, basically.
Yeah, that's the thing. So this is not just a science experiment. This science experiment created a whole freaking population. You want to do world building? Tell me about that shit. How did that go
Mm-hmm.
down? What was the point of the experiment? And again, if they do so in the manga and it's just something I have to wait and see, okay, fair enough. But I think for a first season, I would have liked to know the backstory for this, unless Un but if this is the backstory, then I would prefer no backstory at all.
No, that's fair. Again, as said, right? Like it's the world building that's probably the weakest part of this show because again, it is far more focused on the romance aspect than anything else, and this kind of like forbidden love style thing, right?
Yeah.
I would say the world building is really only there to give it that forbidden love feel, to be honest.
Yeah,
And it
kind of.
does the barest of minimum to make you feel like, okay, this is it. It does enough to make it feel like this is normal for this world, but not much more than that. I would say, and that's about it.
I kind of agree, honestly. And I don't really have much to say on the matter because I either need to see more or just if this is all you're gonna do with it, then you're not really going either way. Like you either
Mm,
need more or you need to just ignore it completely.
fair enough. I feel like it's something that they could do more with, but again, I don't know. I cannot say.
And who knows? Again, if they did, it would be interesting to see. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
up for it. But what is actually going to happen? I can't tell you.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Now, anything else you want to discuss regarding this show? Because on top of my head, I kinda talked about everything.
Well, I mean, just briefly talk about. I mean, again, the animation in this show is very gorgeous. To be honest, did not expect that from the show either. It looks really good. This is animated by I hope I pronounce this right. Studio Millipensi or Millipensi, yeah, Millipensi Studio Millipensi. Bleh. If you're curious,
They
what
did.
they've, huh?
You were just getting there. What did they do?
Yeah, some of the stuff they've made is not a lot actually, but they did. Is this? Yeah, they did the 2016 2017 Berserk. So some people will they helped work on it, I believe. It's another thing they did that people might know more is So I'm a Spider, So What? And then that's they've done a few other things, but nothing that I think is, or I would say is, um, very noteworthy.
Mhm. So who knows? Maybe if this is their first, if this is their first foray into something a bit more well known, I suppose.
No,
Let's go.
no, they some of the other shows they've done are far more well known than this one. I would say. So I'm a Spider, So
Well,
What is far more popular than this show.
then you know what? They need to pay the bills. I don't know. Wait, by the way, can I just be a bit cynical and ask, what the hell would you think if you were given this manga and you would with these panels and you're like, you're going to animate this. You're going to animate and bring this to life.
I would do my job to the best of my ability.
I understand we all need to do our jobs, but like, I think there's a point where I would have questioned some career choices if I
Fair.
got to that point.
I don't know.
But
I mean, I feel like as an animator, especially for anime, you've probably seen far, far worse at this point.
probably, probably, but still, keep in mind I'm a dumb non-Japanese, so that's why I'm
How?
thinking about. But also,
Oh, what's the? Let
what's what?
me. I need to make sure this is the right name. Yeah, yeah, it is. Okay. Oh, I.
Because
So
what?
I feel like if you're an animator for Japanese shows, right? I feel like you've seen far
Mhm.
worse, as I stated, right? We live in a
Yeah,
world post gushing over magical girls. Some people are going to know what that title means, some will not.
I am sad to
And
say that I'm somewhat in the middle.
that is a TV
Like,
show that aired on that is a show that aired on television, uncensored. And
okay.
it is not it is not PG-13. I am so tempted to tell you we should cover that show.
I mean, you know something? We did this, so hit me.
Oh, it, if you think this is risque, no, no.
I didn't say it's risque.
I'm just saying if
I
you are
just
someone who
said
thinks this show is risque, no.
okay. So, but maybe it's because this is my first real foray into something like this.
No, fair.
Maybe I'm just thinking, what would the animators think if they have to draw this? So, like, what was going through the voice actors' minds when they had to record these
Uh,
lines? You know. You can't tell me this is a bit. You're not even a bit
no,
curious.
fair. That's fair. That's very fair. That is extremely fair. But
Like,
again, even still though, I would still say like it was an enjoyable enough watch.
no, it was. It was. Again, I have to preface this. Me making fun. You can make fun of stuff you enjoyed. Like
Yeah,
I make fun of
absolutely.
Sonic, right? That should be your indication. But like I'm also thinking. maybe it's also the filmmaker side of me, the one that has gone to film school and knows the process. Maybe I'm just looking at it also from that point of view of, if I got this script and I needed to bring this to screen, how would I direct the actors to sound? What instructions would I give the animators? These are just thoughts that are living in my head by default. Maybe that's also something that has to do with that.
No, that's
Could
I
be.
think. Well, I mean, it's an interesting topic, briefly, right? Because it's one of those things that I would assume after a certain amount of time of being in the industry, right? You do get like requests like this and jobs like this tend to become like, oh, okay, it's another weird one, whatever. I move on with my life and I do it to the
Mhm.
best of my ability, right? Because like I've seen weird shit before, sort of thing,
Yeah.
and I've possibly seen weirder than this sort of thing, right? So like this is tame by comparison to other things I may have directed at this point in my life if I've been doing it long enough. Now, if this is your
Hmm.
first ever thing you're directing, you're probably like, "What the fuck? Is this what I signed
Yeah.
up for? Is this what I'm going
Hmm.
to become?"
Something you said. Imagine you are the first. All right, I finally made it. I made it into this anime studio, and I'm going to make my dream come
My
true of
directorial
being.
debut.
And it's like, what is my name? What is my first job? And you get this, and I'm like, oh.
You get I think it's even funnier. You get given the script, you're like, "With you our level make it through. Okay, romance story. I can do this." And you're reading through it and you're like, "Wait a second, double take. It is a wolf. Is a dog. Is a dog? What? Is a dog? What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And you go back in this. I'm directing a romance story between a person and a dog. What the? I mean, I just got reminded of another anime.
Oh boy, it doesn't end. It
Oh no,
continues.
no. This one is, this one is, this one is not furry. I don't think the furries would claim this one. And this is another one of those. This aired on TV, and holy shit, I think it's called. Oh, I recommend you look up the trailer for. Let me make
The
sure this
trailer
is the name.
for.
Yes. Look up the trailer for Inukai-san's dog. I
Okay,
have not
then.
watched this one. I have only heard of this one, but I have seen the trailer for it, and it, it,
Let's do some other stuff before we get to this, okay? Okay.
listen, this is why I say like, eh, eh, there's been some wild anime out there, and I, this is one of those things of right like that I dislike because someone will see something like Inukai-san's dog and be like, "This is why anime is fucking awful." And it's just like, no, just ignore that one, please. There's actually really good stuff here. Honestly, kind of like this one with you. Our love will make it through. Like, it's weird. It's a weird concept, but it's honestly, they handle it fairly well. Do I wish there's more they would have done with it? Do I wish there's other aspects that I would like to see them explore? Like, and do more with the world building? Absolutely. Like, it's not perfect. It definitely has problems, but it approaches it well enough, I would say.
Mhm.
And it's not disrespectful, I would say, for the most part.
Yeah.
Again, maybe this changes
Well,
later and it gets horribly awful. Based off
I
of
will
season
say,
1, it's not.
Mhm. I will say though, as much as I'm making fun of the concept, and as much as I say all of this stuff, I stand by my word that if they do a second season of this, I will check it out.
Yeah,
I
I'd
would
be
want to go.
interested.
I'm down the rabbit hole by this point, so might as well go along with it. But oh, you know something? If this never gets a season two, maybe I'll even try and look this manga spoilers to see where
Hmm,
it goes.
fair enough.
So, anything else to say? Or did we cover everything?
No, I think we've kind of talked about it well enough. Go watch it if you haven't.
So, to quote myself on something I posted here, I don't know what's weirder. The fact that there's an anime which combines Beauty and the Beast with BoJack Horseman's character designs and sets in high school with a slight elements of racism thrown in, or that the fucking romance actually feels legit.
Fair enough.
So, this was all for this episode of The Outcast. We hope you enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on, I can't say this name, Wolf, say the
With
name.
you, our love will make it through.
If you've seen the anime or read the manga or anything, what did you think about it? You can tell us all about it in the comment section below on our Tumblr, which is Bearcast Team, and on our Twitter, which is Bearcast with a capital B, capital C. So until next time, I was HC.
I was Wolf.
And will love always see you through or something until the next episode. Take care.
Bye bye.